Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. I've got Mr. NiNi here with me. He's taking a nap in my shirt, so I have a little chest alien. But we're going to be talking about an interesting item that has changed a little bit. Not actually changed, but changed a little bit in the way that it could possibly be used, and that is the Fleshrender Barbed Club. Now, up until recently, the Fleshrender Barb Club was kind of like the laughingstock of the Druid community. And the reason why is because it's a really nice club, but it doesn't have the stats that Druids actually need for it to be useful to them. It's a relatively slow weapon, and if you know anything about the way that Druid IAS works, is that having a really slow weapon with nice effects doesn't do you any good, because you then, therefore, cannot increase that in any way. Because the weapon itself is what provides the majority of your IAS. Well, recently they added a change into the way that the Druid IAS works, is that now IAS from other sources, like for instance, if you were wearing a Treachery, if you were wearing, Laying of the Hands gloves, Nosferatu's coil, if you had a High Lord's Wrath on, if you were rocking, an increased attack speed helmet, various things like this will actually increase the attack speed of your weapon now, because the Druid is actually going to use two different calculations at this point. He's going to use the old calculation as well, but he's also going to use a new calculation, which is going to put him more in line with how regular characters' IAS works. Which means that for the first time in a very long time, this weapon might actually have a real use. So let's go over this weapon together, and let's talk about what we could possibly use this weapon for. So right off the bat, we have a damage of 74 to 125. It is strength required 30, which is really low. Level requirement of 38, which is actually pretty low. That's a Nightmare level weapon there, so it's definitely going to be useful at the beginning of Nightmare as you are going into Act 1. We have +2 to shapeshifting skills, Druid only, which is static. Very, very nice if you're a shapeshifter Druid. We have +1 to all Druid skills, which is also very nice. So a total of +3 to shapeshifting skills and +1 to everything else. We have 200% enhanced damage, but it has an extremely high variable of 70%. So it goes as low as 130% and as high as 200. So if you do happen to find a 200% ED version of this, that is a perfect Fleshrender. We also have a adds damage of 33 to 50, which is, of course, a nice bonus damage on top of the flat damage that it's giving you. We also have 20% chance of crushing blow, which is essentially a 20% chance to deal 25% of the monster's current HP, not their maximum, in damage when it procs, which is pretty amazing. It's only 12.5% for bosses and 10% in PvP, but it's still pretty amazing nonetheless. We also have 20% chance of Deadly Strike, which is absolutely amazing for a Druid because they do not have any form of critical strike native on their character. And this means that using this is going to give you your Deadly Strike, and you can stack it with other Deadly Strike items like High Lord's Wrath or Gore Riders, and you can beef that up even further. So, right off the bat here, we've already got 20% chance of Crushing Blow and 20% Deadly Strike, which is definitely going to be very, very useful for a Druid. Deadly Strike does only work with physical damage, though, so it's not going to help you with things like rabies, fire claws, or anything like that, so keep that in mind. We do have 25% chance of open wounds on this, which is pretty amazing. So we got all three really nice effects on here. Open wounds is a chance to deal a bleed effect, which is based on your character's level. So at level 38, it's going to be relatively low, but at level 99, it would be relatively high. And it lasts for 8 seconds. And while it is on the target cannot regenerate, which is one of the main reasons people love to use it. So if you are fighting an Uber or something like that, like Uber Diablo or Uber Mephisto or Uber Baal or Pandemonium Diablo, all these have very high regeneration, and having open wounds is a very, very good thing. We also have Prevent Monster Heal on here, which is very, very nice. Prevent Monster Heal prevents monsters from regenerating for 20 minutes. And this actually does stack with open wounds, and both of them can be on at the same time. Monsters like Ubers, however, though, do not get affected by Prevent Monster Heal, and that's why you have to have open wounds on your weapon to prevent them from regenerating. But Prevent Monster Heal does work on the majority of monsters in the game, though, which is absolutely amazing. We also have 50% damage to Undead on this, because, of course, it is a basic class item. Now, you can find this in a ethereal form, and in the ethereal form, we do have a damage bump to 92 to 161. The strength requirement goes down to 20, and of course, it's still level 38 requirement. Now, interestingly enough, we would probably want to upgrade this. It's a relatively nice weapon, and honestly, it could be useful on many different characters. If you were having trouble finding a specific weapon for Ubers, if you were just trying to do like a budget Uber run, and you happen to find this, 20% crushing blow, 20% deadly strike, and 25% open wounds is certainly going to help you with that. Granted, you obviously, if you're like a paladin or something like that, you don't actually get any benefit from the druid skills or the shape-shifting skills. But all the effects on there are definitely going to be very nice for characters who are trying to do an Uber run. I could totally see, if I just didn't have anything else, throwing this on my offhand, or sorry, my offhand specifically, so that I could, utilize that crushing blow, the open wounds, and the deadly strike all at once. So I would like to upgrade this and see what we end up with when we upgrade it. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and upgrade this to the next tier. So to do that, we're going to need a perfect emerald. We're going to need a pull rune. We're going to need a lum rune. All right, and this is going to upgrade us from the Fleshrender Barbed Club of 74 to 125, 30 strength, level 38. To the Fleshrender Tyrant Club, which is 131 to 24, 133 strength requirement, and level 49. Not a huge upgrade in the level requirement there. Honestly, I think that is a just absolutely sexy, solid upgrade for a low-level character. I mean, think about it. If I was a level 38 character, and I wanted, I was a level 38 druid, and I had this weapon, and I could do this upgrade. This would actually be a really solid upgrade for a character. So let's upgrade the ethereal version. Let's check this out, shall we? So the ethereal version is going to go from 92 to 161, 20 strength at 38. To 179 to 311, level 49 with 123 strength. Maybe I just never upgraded these, and maybe it was because, of the whole, druids need the IAS on the weapon kind of thing. But this weapon is absolutely a beast of a weapon. And at level 49, I mean, that is a lot of damage for level 49. 131 to 224 is a massive amount of damage for level 49. And the ethereal version at 179 to 311 could potentially be used, well into hell difficulty. The 20% crushing blow, 20% deadly strike, and 25% open wounds, along with the prevent monster heal, is absolutely amazing. I'm kind of blown away by that level 49 requirement. I've not seen a lot of elite upgrades, because this is an elite upgrade. It doesn't upgrade again. And I've not seen a lot of elite upgrades with such a low level requirement. I feel like that is an absolutely solid druid item. Now, I understand the reason why before it wasn't utilized was because IAS needs to be on the weapon, and the weapon has no IAS. However, now that we're in a position where we could obtain IAS from other sources, like, for instance, as we were talking about earlier, gloves, armor, amulet, helmet, you can even use an IAS shield, honestly. You could potentially beef this up quite considerably to an acceptable level and utilize those effects. And honestly, even as a non-druid, I feel like the upgrade on this is absolutely amazing. I may have to add this into my repertoire for, like a Zeal Paladin. or something like that. I mean, I could totally see upgrading a Fleshrender, a nice perfect Fleshrender, mind you, 200% enhanced, to the next tier using a Pull, a Lum, and a perfect Emerald. And honestly, I could use that on a Zealer from level 49 all the way up until I get something better. That crushing blow, the deadly strike, and the open wounds, plus the prevent monster heal, is absolutely excellent. And I would even probably burn a socket on this and throw something nice in here. I would probably put a shale rune in there because honestly, making it a little bit faster would certainly be nice. I mean, this is not exactly the right character to show this off on, but we could certainly play around with it. Let's go ahead and grab Fury, shall we? So why not? And I want to show you that it is a slower item, and I currently have no increased attack speed from any sources. So so let's show it off as it is right now. This version of the game, 2.3, has not made the change yet. So so unfortunately, showing this off here is not really going to do it service. As you can see, in its current iteration, it is a very slow weapon, extremely slow. And that's part of the main issue and the reason why people would not utilize this weapon. And it does create a bit of an issue. But in the next patch in 2.4, I think we're going to see a resurgence of the use of Fleshrender, just simply because you can actually build IAS with it, and you can make it faster. And all the nice effects on Fleshrender and the very easy upgrade on that are definitely pretty sweet. So let's go over really quickly and let's take a look and see where we could potentially find a Fleshrender. I don't really think it's going to be very difficult to find, but let's take a look anyway. So let's assume we have a 150% magic find. Actually, you know what? Let's that's fine. I guess by the time we reach Nightmare, we should have about 150% magic find. And then let's go to the Fleshrender here, and we're going to look for bosses first. And it looks like we have really good chances here. Bale in normal difficulty has a 1 in 455 chance to drop this. That is a really good chance for a monster that is extremely easy to farm. Considering the fact that in normal difficulty, by the time you've gotten to Nightmare difficulty, you're usually able to kill Bale without issue. We also have Andariel in Nightmare, which is a fairly easy kill as well, and Mephisto in Nightmare. So not bad. A lot of Nightmare monsters here. Bale and Diablo all in Nightmare, all with really good chances. And granted, if you're going to want this item, you're probably going to want it in Nightmare difficulty. Let's take a look at super uniques. So we've got the Cow King in Nightmare difficulty. We've got trying to look for easy monsters. The Countess in Hell, but it's a little late. Beetle Burst in Nightmare. He's a pretty easy one to find. He's always in Far Oasis. He's a little difficult to find sometimes, and sometimes he's literally sitting by the waypoint. It varies. Dark Elder, also always in Lost City. He's usually by the Ancient Tunnels entrance, but not always. Eldritch the Rectifier in Nightmare. That's a pretty easy kill. We also have Shank the Overseer in Nightmare, also a pretty easy kill. Doc Farron, that's a pretty easy kill. Pindleskin in Nightmare, pretty easy kill. All these are very nice. Thresh Socket in Nightmare, pretty easy kill. So so you got some pretty nice options there when you get to Act 5. But from what I'm looking at here, if, say, we were just starting out Nightmare difficulty and we really wanted to get our hands on this, it looks to me like Dark Elder and Beetle Burst are your best chances there, because they're lower level. They're in Act 2, so you haven't really gotten very far into Nightmare yet. You've only just killed Andariel, who also has a pretty good chance, and you can farm Beetle Burst and you can farm Dark Elder over and over again. They have a pretty good chance there. That's not bad. So, I mean, we're looking at some pretty good options here to get your hands on this early on. It does have a really nice drop chance from a lot of monsters, and I'm really looking at Bale in normal difficulty there. Not because Bale is easy to farm, don't get me wrong, but because he has such a high chance, a 1 in 455, and it's before you get to Nightmare, so you have a very good weapon as you enter Nightmare difficulty, and you could utilize this much better you know, going into Nightmare as opposed to finding it at the end of Nightmare, where it's probably not going to be as useful anymore once you start to get into Hell difficulty. I always like the way it looked, too. I mean, look at it. It's covered in all these little spikes and barbs and stuff. It's pretty cool. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.